You earn $100,000 a year. Sounds like a lot, but depending on where you live, you might actually take home as little as $50,500 or as much as $82,500. We ran the full tax math on 7 countries. Here's what your paycheck actually looks like. The rules of this simulation are simple. You earn exactly $100,000 per year, gross. Single filer, no dependents, no additional deductions beyond standard. We're using 2025 tax rates for every country, and all figures are converted to US dollars for a clean comparison. The countries we're analyzing: Singapore, Australia, the United States, 2 states, Canada, the United Kingdom, Germany, and France. These aren't random picks. They represent the full spectrum, from the world's lowest income taxes to some of the highest. The goal isn't to tell you where to live. The goal is to show you what the math actually looks like, because most people have no idea how much of their salary disappears before it hits their bank account. Let's start with the winners. Country 1, Singapore. Singapore runs on a progressive tax system, but it's radically flatter than Western alternatives. On a $100,000 salary, a single filer pays roughly $9,900 in income tax. Add CPF contributions, Singapore's version of Social Security, which you get back, and your out-of-pocket tax burden is about 17.5%. Take-home pay, $82,500. That is not a typo. Singapore's top marginal rate doesn't even hit 22% until you are earning over $320,000. For most professionals, it's one of the most tax-efficient places on earth. Country 2, Australia. Australia's tax system is progressive, with rates from 0% up to 45%. At $100,000, you fall into the 32.5% marginal bracket. Your total income tax bill, about $24,000. Add the Medicare levy of 2%. That's another $2,000. No Social Security deduction at this income level in the same way as the US take-home pay. Approximately $72,800 or 72.8 cents on every dollar. Not bad, but it gets more interesting when we compare cities. Sydney's median rent for a 1-bedroom is $2,400 per month. That's $28,800 a year, nearly 40% of your take-home. Country 3, United States. Texas has no state income tax, zero, zilch. That's a significant advantage over most US states. At $100,000, your federal income tax is approximately $17,400 under 2025 brackets, assuming the standard deduction. Social Security, $6,200. Medicare, $1,490. Total deductions, about $25,050. Take-home pay, $70,950. That's 74.9 cents on every dollar, better than Australia, and radically better than what comes next. Country 4, United States, California. Same country, same federal tax system. But California adds its own layer. State income tax in California at $100,000, approximately $6,000. At California state disability insurance, undoubtedly $100. Combined with federal taxes and FICA, your total deductions jump to about $32,150. Take-home pay, $67,850. The difference between living in Texas and California on the same $100,000 salary, $7,000 per year. That's a car payment, a vacation, 4 months of groceries. Country 5, Canada. Ontario, Canada uses a federal plus provincial tax system. In Ontario, Canada's most populous province, a $100,000 salary triggers both federal and provincial taxes. Federal tax, approximately $17,900 Canadian. Ontario provincial tax, $8,100. CPP contributions, $3,800. Employment insurance premiums, $1,050. Total deductions, $3,850 CAD. Net take home, about $69,550 CAD. Or roughly $51,200 USD at current exchange rates. That's a sharp reminder. Currency matters. Canada's tax burden is similar to California's, but the weaker Canadian dollar amplifies the gap in purchasing power. Country 6, United Kingdom. To compare apples to apples, we're looking at the UK equivalent of a $100,000 USD salary, roughly $76,000 at 2025 exchange rates. Income tax in the UK is split into bands. The first $12,570 is tax-free, the personal allowance. The next $37,700 is taxed at 20%. Everything above that hits 40%. On $76,000, approximately $20,000 in income tax. National insurance contributions, $5,600. Net take-home, around $50,400, which converts to approximately $6,200 USD. London's cost of living then takes another bite. Average rent for a one-bedroom in London, $2,100 per month. At your take-home, that's 50% of your net income, gone before you buy a single grocery. Country 7, Germany. Germany is where the math gets painful. On a $90,000 gross salary, roughly $100,000 USD, Germany applies income tax, solidarity surcharge, and mandatory social contributions. Income tax, approximately $23,500. Solidarity surcharge, $1,300. Health insurance, $7,400. Pension contributions, $8,400. Unemployment insurance, $1,200. Total deductions, nearly $41,800. Take home, about $48,200 or $53,000 USD. That's nearly $30,000 less than what the same salary earns you in Texas. But, and this is important, Germany's system includes universal healthcare, free university tuition, and robust unemployment benefits. The question isn't just how much you keep, it's what you get for what you give. Country 8, France, the grand finale. On the same $90,000 gross salary, France applies both income tax and social contributions, the latter being among the highest in the developed world. Income tax, approximately $21,200. Social charges, CSG, CRDS, $8,400. Health insurance, pension, unemployment, $14,500 combined. Total deductions, $44,300. Net take-home, $45,700, or about $50,500 USD, half. You keep roughly half, but France offers free healthcare, heavily subsidized childcare, extensive paid leave, and a pension system most countries can't match. Here's the full ranking. On a $100,000 equivalent salary, Singapore, $82,500 take-home, Texas, USA, $74,950. Australia, $70,800. California, USA, $61,750. United Kingdom, $16,200 USD equivalent. Germany, $53,000 USD equivalent. France, $50,500 USD equivalent. A $32,000 gap between the top and bottom. That's the difference between a $100K salary in Singapore versus France. But here's where it gets more nuanced. Purchasing power parity. After adjusting for local cost of living, the gap narrows dramatically. A $100K salary in New York City after tax doesn't go nearly as far as the same salary in rural Germany. Rent, healthcare costs, education, childcare, transportation, these all factor into what your take-home actually buys. Germany's universal healthcare alone, which the US earner pays separately, is worth $5,000 to $15,000 per year when priced at American market rates. The raw numbers tell one story. The purchasing power adjusted numbers tell a different one. The real question isn't which country has the lowest taxes. The real question is, what kind of life does your take-home actually buy? That's the full breakdown. 7 countries, 1 salary, dramatically different outcomes. If this gave you a new perspective on taxes and personal finance, drop a comment below. Which country surprised you the most? Subscribe if you want more simulations like this. Every week we run the numbers that everyone else just guesses at. And if you want to go deeper, the link in the description has all the source data behind today's figures. Every dollar has a story. We just showed you 7 of them.